All right, Ultimate Hoops Nation. Izzy Elkaffas here with Jason, Committee Chairman Briggs. We're just going to do the predictions real quick. We'll just kind of tag team this. I'll let you start off, and then I'll give you my prediction right after. The first game of the night is going to be Big Smash versus Damien's. What do you think? Talk about the game.
A great matchup. Two very athletic teams. Very fast-paced game. I really think after tonight that the Damiens could be primed to pull off another upset. Unfortunately, I don't think they'll do well against another athletic team. They make too many mental mistakes, so I'd lean Big Smash in a big way.
I agree with everything you said, so I don't have anything to add to that. Big Smash is one of the worst matchups for Damien's just because they can match up with them athletically, and Antoine Lynch is that guy that nobody in this league can guard, and Damien's going to struggle. The next game is the Club and Bulls South. One of the very few, it might be the only overlapping player, Kavarian Williams. Who do you think he plays for, and what do you think the outcome is?
I would go. I mean, you gotta stick with your bros, right? So I would guess the Club, but I don't think it matters. I think Rod Powell, Romero, and the overall Dudinsky Kevin Chase combo is going to be too much.
Yep. And I agree. I think Gino's going to really do his best to get Kavarian to play for the Bulls. He's a master convincer. I don't know what he says to these guys, but he tends to get them to play for him.
Maybe a little financial incentive?
I don't know. I hate to say it because Gino gets upset when we say something like that.
I'm just kidding.
We're just kidding. So I think Kavarian makes a big difference. If he plays for the Club, Dudinsky and Chase can really keep up, but Dudinsky running up and down with that kind of game is going to wear him out. And then if they lose Kavarian, now they have to dig deep into their bench, and it gets a little dicey. If Kavarian plays for the Club, I think the Club can edge it out.
Nice.
Just based on the fact that they're just big. They can match up well with Bulls South, and Kavarian's just so dynamic, and I don't think there's anybody on the Bulls that can guard him if he plays for the Club. So I would lean Club by 2. If Kavarian plays for the Bulls, I'd say Bulls by 21.
Okay.
7:30 games. We have the Blue Horns versus the Gorillas.
Yeah.
Little duo here.
Yes.
Talk about the game. What do you think?
Rematch from a pretty lopsided win for us in Week 3. It was by far the best game we played all season. So, just with our usual problems with the Gorillas, we'll have to play the same way and have the same amount of success. So it should be a really tight one, come down to the wire, but I would lean my team by a couple points.
And unfortunately, I agree with you. I think the way that the Gorillas have been playing all season, it's just not, something's not clicking, and I don't think with the way the Blue Horns play, they play team basketball, and they're going to take advantage of a lot of the turnovers that the Gorillas post. I mean, the Gorillas might be leading the league in turnovers. It's really ugly, and I think the Blue Horns, with their discipline, will pull it off. I think they win by a handful. 7:30 games, Rebels, Red Devils. Who do you got?
I think you said it earlier in This Week in Rec, but this is definitely the game of the night.
Right.
Just two battle-tested teams. Obviously, one has more playoff success, and one probably should have a lot more than it does. I would lean the Rebels in this just because they always seem to pull it out in the playoffs. But the addition of Mitch Hansen it really complicates the game and gives the Red Devils a fighting chance because defense to defense, they're both really good.
Right.
But finally, the Red Devils have enough on the offensive side to compete. But I'd still lean with the defending champs.
And this is tough because Mitch Hansen will be taken out of the game by Jansen if Jansen shows up. Ferber can take out Van Noort. Dustin can guard Trey Sales. And then it really comes down to Brandon Winkler. Is he going to show up and play an efficient basketball game, or is he going to, and Paul Olsen same way?
Right.
Can Justin Monskus, make sure that he doesn't get going from the perimeter?
Paul's got such a quick trigger that
if he can get going, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the Red Devils, we said that, they're really not, they don't show up for the playoffs, but we have to remember, I think maybe couple seasons ago, they were on a 3 in a row to the Final Four. So I think they definitely have the ability to make it. And defensive teams, like I said earlier, tend to pick it up in the playoffs because offenses can just fizzle. Now, two defensive teams like this, Rebels obviously have the advantage. I'm gonna go with my underdog. I think the Red Devils can pull it off if Mitch Hansen doesn't force up shots and Trey Sales doesn't get out of control. That's the big key. So I'm gonna say Red Devils by a couple.
And it's getting those role players involved, because if Lance gets a few buckets, if Luke gets a few buckets, I mean, Devils are going to need to find scoring from somewhere.
Absolutely. I agree. Moving on to the 8:30 games, we have Bulls North against the Pig Smash.
This was an absolutely great regular season game in Fridley. And if Pig Smash would have brought anyone who could dribble, or at least pass the ball into anyone who could dribble, I mean, Bulls North would not be undefeated. They would not be the 1 seed. Yeah. So I'm very interested to see what happens when Greg Wells and the rest of the gang is actually there. And I mean, they beat them. They almost beat them with Rod, with Lamont. I mean, Bulls North had a full squad. So I'm going to be a little upset-minded on this one. I think Pig Smash, if they bring the full squad and Twan is still healthy by that 8:30 game, knock on wood, that they pull off the upset.
Yeah, and Greg Wells is he can go either way. It's such a big variable. I mean, sometimes he shows up and plays a great game, and he's the reason why the Big and Pig win.
Right.
And then there's nights where he's the reason they lose.
Right.
So it's not necessarily guaranteed that if Greg shows up or if he doesn't, a game's going to lean either way.
Right.
So that's tough. I think the biggest problem with Pig Smash is that they are full of unreliable players, players that make really bad decisions in unfortunate spots. Brahma's talented, but he just kind of lollygags around. Yeah, he lollygags around, takes up a couple bad shots. Extremely talented, but if they can get it together, I think they can pull off the upset. But Rod's dynamite, and Michael Franklin will have his hands completely full guarding him. It'll be interesting to see. So I'm gonna say Bulls North can pull it off, but I'm not very excited about the Bulls North moving forward. I don't think they make it that much farther. Moving on to the next game, I have Fob and St. Paul. Talk about this one.
Who shows up? Rumors are St. Paul's going to have a heck of a time getting enough players, and Fob 5's always a question mark. Or at least this season's been a little bit of a question mark too. If you guys were gifted a little bit in the second half by some horrible shot selection by Showtime, but you took advantage. Mm-hmm. And I think St. Paul has a tendency to force some shots as well. So assuming there's a game, and St. Paul would be Iron 5, if you guys show up more than 5 players, I would lean Fob. But I'm not convinced that you guys can do that.
Yeah. And I've heard they're shorthand. I know, unfortunately, Pinkett. I'm going to miss Pinkett in this league. He's such a great player in this league, and just awesome. I love guys that play hard. They're team oriented. Right. Don't jack up shots. Just mind their own business. So it's unfortunate he's gone for however long. Hopefully he's got the AP knees and comes back quick. Right. But that's a big loss for him. I'm assuming Kurt will be there. I'm assuming the Samuelsons will be there. Yeah. I know Mark Luer's hurt.
Yeah.
Reagan Scheid should be there.
McComas is the other one.
And McComas, I think they'll have a pretty good 5 if they show up with 5. Pinkett's obviously a big loss. Now, Fob 5 is one of those teams that they rely on their 3. If the ball drops, they can win any game at any time, and if it doesn't, they can lose any game. And I think I don't remember who we lost to, but it was just one of those Damians. We lost to Damians, just couldn't make a shot. So I think St. Paul, it's one of those things. They've been playing together forever, and with the Samuelsons, sure, Anthony Thompson and DuPont will be great matchups for them, but it's hard picking against such a good team. Yeah. So I'm going to say St. Paul barely pulls it off, but I would not be surprised if Fob 5-1.
And I don't get it, but for some reason, everyone knows Ragenscheid's a great shooter. He gets enough open threes to satisfy pretty much anyone.
Yeah,
so.
and he's obviously an X factor in a game like that, definitely. 9:30 games, we have Nets and North Stars.
Another rematch. We played. It was probably a 12-point game a few weeks back. No Marcus Marshall for them. No Romero and Helmy for us. So it'd be nice to see some full squads.
Yep.
I'd have to lean Nets, even playing for the North Stars. They just came back, and it's like they were never gone. Just the continuity they have and ability to gel together. It's pretty impressive after several seasons off.
Right, and I think it was a pretty wise decision to remove Johnny Webb from the equation on that team. Because it seems like there's less complaining this season and less technicals than there usually was. I don't think they've gotten teed up all season. Maybe.
Snow probably got one.
I don't know. They've looked pretty good. They look pretty good. They don't argue as much as they used to. Jay Moore brings them back, and they look great.
I don't think it's as much as the tease with Johnny. I just think it's you have Marcus and Ryan that need the ball in their hands.
Right.
So adding that extra ball handler, it just takes it away.
Totally.
I mean, that was the year they had those guys. They had Tommy Franklin. They had Johnny.
It was full.
It was where was the ball going to come from?
Yeah.
You needed two balls at that time.
Yeah, I'm with you on there. I mean, Sky is great role players. Smo's great for those bank threes.
Yeah.
Bad matchup for the North Stars. The Nets are sneaky athletic. Most people don't really look at the Nets and say they're athletic, but those guys can run. They run up and down the court, and I think with Helmy, with yourself, with Kev, it's just you guys like half court basketball, and the Nets, if they turn up the heat, essentially, they can make it a double-digit win again. So I think the Nets, I think they win by 8 or 9 points, pretty comfortable. Last game is them versus the Turtles.
Wow, this is the controversial game. A lot of rumors going around as to why I switched. I will not confirm nor deny any of them. I don't like the Turtles this season, and it's not anything about the players they still have on their squad. It's the Samersons are so good.
Yeah.
So those two being gone makes this a game. If they were back, this was not only are they not the 8th or the 9th seed, but this is not even a contest. So I definitely lean them in this, but them, despite their lack of a big guy, is much better this season. Just maybe I think the ball movement might be a little bit better, and they also added that second score with Williamson to make them a lot more difficult to guard. Because before, Devin would just be the guy on the perimeter waiting for the ball. Q would bring it up in the lane. They were just a extremely predictable team.
Yep.
And adding adding Williamson and D'Angelo is just a menace. So it's going to make it a game. I'd still lean with the experience of the Turtles, but it's going to be an extremely close game.
And I agree it's going to be close, and I really, really do want to pick them. I love D'Angelo Williams. I mean, he plays kind of erratic sometimes, but his defense is phenomenal. He's athletic. He works his ass off. And Williamson's a great addition. I think here's the thing. If Jansen guards Stensrud, takes him out of the game, you still have Williamson there,
right.
And I don't think there's anybody that can completely take him out, especially now that Pinkett's gone. He would have been another guy to guard. Maybe Kurt will have to move over and play him a little.
Kurt's a solid defender,
but he's going to play a little bit smaller guy. Right. It'll be interesting to see. Now, Williamson, for me, is he's making a case for an all-rec team. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't even play for them.
No.
I wouldn't even be surprised if he made an all-rec team, and I think he's deserving. So he's going to be the X factor. If he can play and he can keep under control against Turtles, because they are very opportunistic and they'll make stuff happen, they can pull it out. They've played together for a long time, and I really, really want to see them make a run and not get blown out this season. So I'm going to go with the upset.
Okay.
They're
higher seed, too, so not necessarily an upset.
Well,
historical.
More of an upset because I want to see them win, not necessarily I think they're going to win. Right. So I'm going to say them by half a point.
Okay.
That's possible. All right, and do you have anything else? Any final comments?
No, games tonight were not great. There were a couple solid games, couple blowouts. I really hate to see teams start the game with 4 players. And I really hate forfeits. So for those of you who've watched this and actually play Wednesday, get your ass to the gym.
Now, this is something that Reed and I didn't talk about. Do you think that if a team says they're not going to have enough guys, do we move them out of the playoff picture and then add another team in there? Or do we just kind of say, here's the top 24. If you don't show up, you don't show up?
Depends on the time. If it's, 6 p.m. tonight,
right,
then obviously no. But if you got a few days' notice, and like if the Sonics would have said we didn't have enough guys, I would have personally called Springer, Mead, all those guys to try to get the Squires in. I'm totally on board with that.
And I agree with you. I don't like forfeits. I don't like teams getting a bye when they didn't deserve it. And more basketball for more players.
Right.
So I'm sure that'll be talked about, because every season there seems to be a team that forfeits or a 4-on-5 game. So we'll get it figured out. This is going to be a long episode of This Week in Rec with the predictions and everything. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday and Thursday.
Yep.
Back with us predicting the Elite Eight. Have a good night.